back. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos resigned her cabinet post this week in response to the riot at the Capitol, calling the president's actions an inflection point for her. Her tenure has been marked by controversy and criticism, including her response to keeping schools open during the pandemic. And as millions of students nationwide have headed back to school after the holidays, new research shows the pandemic is having a big impact on learning. Many students not able to keep pace, and parents wondering if there's a plan to help their children catch up. Our Devin Dwyer takes a look in our series, America in Transition.
For 12-year-old Chloe West, the first 5 months of middle school have been a joyless experience in the confines of her family apartment.
Did you understand what you were doing in math today?
Yes.
Her mother, April, a social worker in Northern Virginia, says months of remote learning have taken a toll.
I don't think that it's the teachers or that they're not teaching. I think that it's the technical piece. And sometimes you have the students on and there's no teacher because their technology piece is no longer working.
Nearly a year after the pandemic began, technical glitches have become more than a nuisance.
We'll try and at least discuss.
Guys, what happened? She left the meeting. It kicked her out the internet.
Disrupting learning, making science experiments and math class especially hard, playing French horn in the band even harder.
Can you see all of your classmates have their instruments out and there's somebody you're playing skit? What are you doing?
We can't see each other, but when he turned the microphone on, he has us play together. It doesn't sound that good because some people's microphone doesn't work.
So what's your biggest concern right now?
My biggest concern is that it's going to get worse instead of better. Only because I know that there's a lot of things that she's missed.
Experts call it learning loss and say early data show millions of students are falling victim to it.
And we found that the learning loss experience was quite pervasive, that almost all students were negatively impacted by the pandemic and the pivot to remote learning.
66% of teachers in one national survey said their students are less prepared for grade-level work compared to last year. In high-poverty schools, 1 in 3 teachers say their students are significantly behind.
If these kids are losing this much learning in just a brief period of time, you have to plan that the recovery time here is going to be years.
Teachers have been working overtime from home.
We're going to read a story today.
Developing creative teaching techniques and new lesson plans for the digital space.
That took some training, that took some trial and error. It was quite a challenge, but I have a never say die mentality.
But a lack of support and resources, many districts say, is causing burnout among teachers and students.
Nothing can replace in-person learning. Our educators, our parents, our students want nothing more than to be back together, not only to learn together for their academics, but also for their social emotional learning as well.
President Trump and Education Secretary Betsy DeVos have been pushing schools to reopen for in-person classes since last fall.
The science says it is safe for kids to be in school. The reality is that parents and their kids are being held hostage.
But with the virus surging, many parents and teachers are worried about safety. From Illinois to Arizona, protests against a return to the classroom. Families, in the meantime, making costly sacrifices to fill the gap.
I supplement with a tutor that she sees every Tuesday and Thursday, also virtual, but again, it is one-on-one.
And how much is that costing you a month?
$400.
In D.C., the Martin family facing expensive internet service upgrades to support 3 student streamers. Alex, home from college after a campus COVID outbreak. Lily, finishing her high school senior year. And 9th grader Ben, who's fighting to get his grades up after a pandemic slide.
I feel like the online was only targeted towards one type of student that can sit there and just listen to someone talk for hours at a time. But for me, I'm not that type of student.
Are you ready to read massive amounts of books and all the other college assignments?
I'm worried that when I'm back into a classroom, I'm just going to be overwhelmed because I haven't been in one in so long.
The long-term impact could be staggering. The average American student has already lost an estimated half a year of learning in reading and over a full year of learning in math since the pandemic began. Education advocates say intensive tutoring programs and weeks of summer school may be needed to catch them up.
So it's not only talking about summer school, we've got to approach this from a holistic way. Which students need the most additional supports, the one-on-one, the tutoring that's going to be required.
President-elect Joe Biden is promising to reopen the majority of schools in his first 100 days, naming Connecticut Schools Chief Miguel Cardona to lead the effort at the Department of Education.
For so many of our schools and far too many of our students, this unprecedented year has piled on crisis after crisis. It's taken some of our most painful, long-standing disparities and wrenched them open even wider.
Biden wants a new COVID testing system at schools nationwide and more funding for better school ventilation, PPE for teachers, and hiring more staff to reduce crowded classrooms. He's also expected to extend relief for student loan payments and push for some college student debt to be forgiven.
My debt is $80,000. This relief for me personally would help me to take care of my parents. They're getting older. My dad has come across a lot of health complications. He had COVID just last month. He's still in the hospital right now.
The price tag for Biden's plan is in the billions of dollars, setting the stage for another fight in Congress over who should foot the bill.
For me, it's more frustrating looking at other countries and seeing where they are compared to us. And they seem to be a little bit more back to normal than we are.
7th grader Chloe West says she's frustrated too. Her mom cautiously optimistic that a new vaccine and new president could turn the pandemic school year around.
I know she wants to go back to school, but I, as a parent, am afraid for, her health. So if by, I would say, the start of the 4th quarter, if they are able to at least get to school by then I'm all for it. But until things, get better, I'm not for it.
For ABC News Live, I'm Devin Dwyer in Washington.
A concern for so many parents. Devin, our thanks to you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.